lên để làm nghi thức chào quốc kỳ. Lễ chào quốc kỳ bắt đầu. Lễ chào quốc kỳ đã chấm dứt. Xin trân trọng kính mời quý vị an tọa. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for the Governor of New South Wales, Professor Marie Bashir and Sir Nicholas Shihadi. Ta xin một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón bà toàn quyền Marie Bashir và ông Nicholas Shihadi. And now I would like to invite the President of the Vietnamese community in New South Wales, Mr. Thanh Nguyen, to deliver his welcoming speech. Và bây giờ chúng tôi xin trân trọng kính mời ông Nguyễn Văn Thanh, Chủ tịch Cộng đồng người Việt tự do Úc Châu tiểu bang New South Wales, có lời phát biểu chào đón quý quan khách. Xin một tràng pháo tay cho ông Nguyễn Văn Thanh.
I welcome Her Excellency Professor Mary Bashir, Governor of New South Wales, Mr. Andrew Rowan, State Member for Smithfield, representing the Honourable Barry O'Farrell, Premier of New South Wales, Councillor Frank Carbone, Mayor of Fairfield City Council, Mr. Nick Lalick, State Member for Cabramatta, the Honourable David Clark, Member of New South Wales Legislative Council, Mr. Chris Hay, Federal Member for Fowler, Mr. David McCann, Vice President of the Vietnam Veteran Association of Australia and President of the New South Wales branch, Mr. Vinh Đang Tran, Vice President of the ARVN Veteran Association of Australia and President of the New South Wales branch, Commodore Nick Hellyer, Chief Executive Officer, Australian Veteran Children Assistance Trust. Mrs. Whitley, widow of the late Warrant Officer Kevin Arthur Whitley and family. Religious leaders, representatives of RCL Club, representatives of all associations and groups within the Vietnamese community. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vietnamese community in New South Wales, I warmly welcome each and all of you to this important event. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Australia's involvement in the Vietnam War, 1962-2012. On this special occasion, the Vietnamese community in New South Wales has commissioned 10 bronze plaques on which engraved the names of 521 Australian soldiers who lost their lives in the Vietnam War, to be attached to the wall at the base of the Vietnam War Comradeship Memorial in Cabravale Park, Cabramatta, to commemorate those Australian heroic servicemen. This memorial monument is also dedicated to all those who fought for freedom and made the supreme sacrifice in the Vietnam War, including 300,000 South Vietnamese servicemen and women, and many thousand soldiers of the Allied force. During the 10 years from 1962 to 1972, more than 60,000 Australian servicemen were sent to Vietnam to help defend freedom for South Vietnam. Those brave young men responded to their country's call of duty and left their home to live in the jungles of a faraway land under harsh conditions, weathering heavy enemy fire, resulting in 521 deaths and thousands others were maimed for life. Today, we gather here to show respect to those Australian heroes who lost their lives defending South Vietnam from the Northern Communist invasion. Their services and sacrifices have been deeply appreciated by the Australian Vietnamese community, of which the majority are ex-refugees and their families who escaped the communist tyranny after the tragic end of the Vietnam War. When South Vietnam collapses after being abandoned by the United States and all supplies and ammunition were cut off, we Australian Vietnamese still hope to see Vietnam becoming a free and democratic country one day, and have been contributing to the fight using peaceful means to achieve our objective. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I want to say that the war may be over, but the memory of those sacrifices should never be forgotten. We have a duty to honor each and all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thanh Nguyen. Before we go on to the next item, I would like to introduce a number of our VIPs and special guests in the list. Mr. Jim Thompson, Senior Director, Cabravale Active Servicemen's Club. Mr. Stan Martin, President, Cabravale Active Servicemen's Club. Mr. Ron Duckworth, President of Basil ISL Sub-Branch. Mr. Jack Lake, President of Springwood ISL Sub-Branch. Mr. Greg Coe, President of Marshallbrook ISL Sub-Branch. Mr. William Drumbo, Secretary of Fairfield ISL Sub-Branch. Mr. John Haynes, Vice President of ISL Sub-Branch, New South Wales. Mr. John Woodley, Secretary of Bankstown ISL. Mr. Raymond Parkin, Secretary Canterbury ISL. Mr. William Lotfrey, Secretary Kenny Heights ISL. Mr. Robinson, Campbelltown ISL. Mr. Ray James, President of Ingleburn ISL Sub-Branch. Mr. Frank Cole, Secretary Vietnam Veterans Peacekeepers Peacemakers Association of Australia New South Wales Branch. Mr. Greg Pickering, CEO Mountains Group. And I just noticed that Mr. Andrew Rohan, who's just recently arrived, and also I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the local area police commander, Wayne Murray and Mrs. Murray. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The next item will be the opening speech by the Mayor of Fairfield City Council. Will you please put your hands together for Councillor Frank Carboni. Please một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón ông thị trưởng Hội đồng thành phố Fairfield Frank Carboni.
Thank you very much. Can I firstly start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians upon this land on which we stand, the Gadigal people of the Darug Nation. I would like to acknowledge their elders, both past and present. I would also like to acknowledge Her Excellency Professor Maria Bishar, Governor of New South Wales, Mr. Andy Rohan, State Member for Smithfield, representing the Premier, Mr. Chris Hayes, Federal Member for Fowler, and the Honorary David Clark, Member of Legislative Council. Mr. Nick Lalich, State Member for Cabramatta, Ms. Tanya Mahalik, State Member for Bankstown, Mr. Guy Zangari, the State Member for Fairfield, Mr. Tang Nguyen, President of the Vietnamese Community and Australia New South Wales Chapter, and Mr. David McCann, Vice President of the Viet Veterans Association of Australia and President of New South Wales Branch. Mr. Ding Tran, Vice President of the RRVN Veterans Association of Australia and President of the New South Wales Branch, all the Vietnamese veterans here today and all the special guests. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here today representing Fairfield City Council. We're here today, of course, for the unveiling of the plaque to commemorate the 521 fallen soldiers during the Vietnamese War. The Vietnamese War was one of the longest conflicts where Australian soldiers participated from 1962 to 1975. Of course, it's also appropriate, given that today is Remembrance Day, a day that we remember all fallen soldiers from Australia that participated in all the wars throughout time, that today we present the plaque onto the Comradeship Memorial. The dedication of the plaque will be a reminder of the soldiers' bravery and their ultimate sacrifice as fallen soldiers. It will make sure that the spirit will live on. It will make sure that the spirit will live on for the lives that they offered now and into the future, for their fight against democracy, for democracy and freedom for the Vietnamese people. Fairfield City Council has a strong connection, of course, with the Vietnamese community. Fairfield City Council and Fairfield Council area has acted as a place for refugees settlement throughout many wars and many different conflicts. It has 130 different diverse communities. It is rich both in culture by these communities and, of course, is one of the most diverse communities in New South Wales. The Vietnamese are one of these cultures, and it's fantastic to see that they have remembered and continue to remember the participation of the Australian soldiers and the participation of the Australian soldiers and those of the fallen soldiers in the Vietnamese War. I would like to congratulate the Vietnamese community, the VCA of the New South Wales chapter. I'd like to also thank the Vietnamese Veterans Association and of course also the Cabravale RSL for a lot of their hard work in this memorial. I know that this memorial has had a lot of work over a long period of time in which the council has cooperated with these different organisations to bring it up to the stage that it is now. And today's dedication and the plaque will be a fitting tribute to this great memorial of ours. On behalf of Fairfield City Council, I'd like to thank all the organisers for today's event. We truly are fortunate to have these organisations in our local area. Thank you very much.